Welcome to Season 21 of the 5-Minute Biographies podcast. From 5minutebiographies.com, where each week we tell you interesting things about interesting people in about 5 minutes. If you enjoy the show and would like to support us, why not consider buying us a coffee? Head on over to 5minutebiographies.com/coffee to see how. This is episode 7, Boudica. Boudica, the queen of the Iceni tribe, remains one of Britain's most iconic historical figures, a symbol of resistance, independence, and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. Her rebellion against the Roman Empire in AD 60 to 61 shook the foundations of Roman Britain and left a legacy that has endured for centuries. Although her uprising was ultimately unsuccessful, the legend of Boudica endures in literature, sculpture, and the national consciousness of Britain. Boudica was born around AD 30, likely into a noble family of the Iceni, a Celtic tribe located in what is now Norfolk in eastern England. At the time, Britain was undergoing seismic changes following the Roman invasion in AD 43. Under the rule of Emperor Claudius, Rome sought to bring the disparate tribal kingdoms of Britain under its imperial umbrella. Many tribes resisted fiercely, but others, including the Iceni under King Prasutagus, chose to ally themselves with the Romans to maintain a degree of autonomy. Boudica married Prasutagus, the king of the Iceni, who was a client ruler under Roman oversight. This arrangement allowed the Iceni some independence while also binding them to Roman customs and taxation. When Prasutagus died around AD 60, he had hoped to secure peace by bequeathing his kingdom jointly to his wife and 2 daughters. But Rome ignored his will. Instead of honouring Prasutagus's wishes, Roman officials annexed his kingdom, seized the lands of the Iceni nobles, and subjected the population to harsh treatment. Boudica herself was publicly flogged, and her daughters were raped, a brutal display of dominance designed to crush any thoughts of resistance. Rather than submit, Boudica ignited a revolt that would become one of the greatest threats to Roman rule in Britain. She united the Iceni with neighbouring tribes such as the Trinovantes, amassing an army that some ancient sources claim numbered over 100,000. The scale and speed of the rebellion caught the Romans off guard. The rebellion began with the destruction of Camulodunum, modern-day Colchester, a Roman settlement and a symbol of imperial oppression. Boudica's forces razed the city to the ground, killing Roman citizens and collaborators alike. Roman legions sent to quell the rebellion were defeated or forced to retreat. Next, Boudica's army turned on Londinium, London, which was still a fledgling settlement. Roman governor Gaius Suetonius Paulinus abandoned the city, judging it indefensible. Boudica's forces slaughtered the inhabitants and burned the town. A similar fate befell Verulamium, modern St. Albans, which also fell to the rebellion. The scale of the destruction was unprecedented. Ancient Roman historians such as Tacitus and Cassius Dio describe widespread killings, mass burnings, and utter devastation. Some accounts claim over 70,000 Romans and Roman allies were killed during the uprising. While Boudica's initial successes stunned Rome, the empire was not so easily defeated. Governor Suetonius regrouped with a force of around 10,000 seasoned troops and chose a battlefield to his advantage, narrow and bordered by forest, which nullified the size advantage of Boudica's army. The exact location of this final battle remains unknown, but it is believed to have occurred somewhere along the Roman road known as Watling Street. Despite their superior numbers, Boudica's forces were poorly trained compared to the disciplined Roman legions. The Romans used their tactics and formations to devastating effect. Boudica's army was crushed. The Britons had brought their families in wagons to watch the victory they believed was assured. Tragically, these wagons blocked any chance of retreat. Boudica either took poison or died from illness shortly after the defeat, depending on the account. Her final fate is shrouded in legend, as is much of her life. What remains clear is the impact she had. Though the rebellion failed, it prompted the Roman authorities to reassess their policies in Britain. Emperor Nero even considered withdrawing from the province altogether. Instead, Rome tightened its grip. New policies were introduced to prevent future uprisings. Roman Britain became increasingly militarized, with fortified settlements and stricter control over the native population. Boudica's revolt marked the end of any illusions about peaceful coexistence between the Romans and the native tribes. Most of what we know about Boudica comes from Roman historians, particularly Tacitus and Cassius Dio. Tacitus's accounts are often considered more reliable, in part because his father-in-law served as an officer under Suetonius. Yet even these accounts must be read with caution, as they reflect Roman perspectives and biases. Still, the vivid details they provide offer one of the most compelling stories in ancient British history. In contrast, Cassius Dio wasn't born until 100 or so years after the event. Archaeological evidence supports many aspects of the narrative. A layer of burnt destruction found in Colchester aligns with the historical accounts of the rebellion. Similar layers in London and St. Albans lend credence to the reported devastation. Over the centuries, Boudica's image has evolved. In the Victorian era, she was embraced as a patriotic symbol of British resistance. A bronze statue of her, riding a war chariot with her daughters, stands proudly near the Houses of Parliament in London, a monument to defiance and nationalism. In modern times, Boudica has been reinterpreted as a feminist icon, a powerful woman who dared to lead armies and challenge the world's most powerful empire. Her story has inspired books, films, music, and theatre. She has become a cultural touchstone not just in Britain but globally, symbolising courage, leadership, and resistance. Boudica's rebellion was one of the most significant and violent episodes in the history of Roman Britain. While ultimately unsuccessful, her actions had far-reaching consequences. They exposed the fragility of Roman control in the early years of the occupation and highlighted the brutality of imperial governance. Her legacy is complex. To some, she is a national heroine. To others, a cautionary tale of fury unchecked by strategy. Regardless, her defiance altered the course of history. She reminded Rome and later the world that even the most powerful empires can be challenged. She also serves as a symbol of how women, too often erased from history, have shaped the destinies of nations. Boudica led with determination, strategy, and a deep sense of justice, however harsh her methods may have been. Her story continues to resonate because it speaks to timeless themes: resistance against oppression, the quest for autonomy, and the enduring human spirit. Boudica's name echoes through the annals of history as a beacon of rebellion. Her fight against Rome may have ended in defeat, but her legend grew stronger nonetheless. In literature, culture, and collective memory, Boudica remains the queen who would not bow, the woman who dared to take on an empire. Thanks for listening to the 5-Minute Biographies podcast from 5minutebiographies.com. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts, or if you would like to support us more directly, why not consider buying us a coffee? Head on over to 5minutebiographies.com/coffee to see how. Also, why not check out our other 5-minute podcasts, which you can find at 5minuteproductions.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.